started. Duh. Okay. Hey friends, it's Jenny. Today I'm bringing you clarity on boundaries. I have had a lot of situations the last week come in where it's just very apparent that people don't have very good boundaries in their lives, and it's causing them a lot of chaos and a lot of internal stress. And I just wanted to address this situation because I think it is a real issue that a lot of people have. So, do you find yourself giving away your time and energy for everybody else but neglecting yourself? Or do you find yourself saying yes when really deep down inside you just want to be like, no, I just need a minute for myself, or I just need to do something else, like I had something else planned? Or maybe you don't speak up for yourself when you're mistreated, or you know somebody who does that, that just continually takes mistreatment and abuse. Or do you have guilt when you do care for yourself, or when you do something that is, satisfying to yourself? Or do you have false guilt when you're trying to help yourself? Or do you sacrifice for others at your own expense often? If you answer yes to any of these questions, or if you know somebody like this, that it's most likely that they have poor boundaries. Having poor boundaries can lead us down a road that we absolutely do not want to be down. So, boundaries essentially are just limits and rules that we set within our relationships and within situations in our lives that keep us healthy, that draw lines so that people know you don't cross this line. This is my space. These are my expectations, and the boundaries allow us to not have to live in a constant state of guilt or constant state of pleasing other people at the expense of our own selves or even our own family. A lot of times our families are neglected when we have poor boundaries as well. When setting limits and rules for ourselves, for our boundaries, this allows us to protect and guard the things that are important to us, the things that are giving us life and our purpose essentially in life. So it helps us to guard our feelings, our values, our passions, our gifts, our talents, our relationships. And you have to say no sometimes, or a lot of times, to protect these things in our lives. And this is what's important. So once you've reached a point where you realize you need to address your boundary issues, a couple of tips to address those things. One is to assess where you're at. Where is it that you can start? So do you want to start with a relationship that you have that's unhealthy, that you've been taken advantage of for too long? Do you want to start with your kids? Are you putting too much emphasis into your kids, and they just really need to know that no, this is not okay. This is not acceptable for this to continue. So find out exactly where you want to start. What's the most important boundary for you to set to begin with, to practice with? From there, you're going to set your boundaries, and you're going to be clear about your boundary. You're going to be respectful with that when you're speaking to whoever it may be that you need to speak to. You're going to be firm on that boundary. And no matter how much guilt or no matter how much persuading that is done, you have to stick with that boundary because it's to protect you. So it's much like a farmer who puts a fence around their animals. They're protecting those animals. They have that there to protect the animals from going too far, and also to protect things from coming in. So it's the same thing for you. You need to make sure you're firm on those boundaries, and you are not responsible for the response of other people and how they respond to you setting boundaries. Some people are going to have a hard time with this, especially if you've been one that is easily persuaded or easily what you could call as a pushover. Somebody that they can just dump a whole bunch on and go. So it's going to be hard at first to stand firm and to keep at it. So once you establish all that, you have your conversation, you just have to keep practicing. And I highly recommend finding people in your life who love you and want to support you in your boundary setting, and get that support so that when you start to feel yourself pulling back, and wanting to give in, that you can go to that person and say, can you remind me again, why am I doing this? I need to remember. A couple of things. First of all, I would highly recommend the book Boundaries. It's by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. They're doctors. They're very, very good, and it has a little Christian perspective, but it is a really, really good book when it comes to setting boundaries. There's a lot of things in the Bible about boundaries, and they just are really good about bringing that in and kind of doing a holistic approach of why we need to set boundaries and the benefits of that. So I highly recommend the book Boundaries. I'll put that in the description of the video. And then I was just reading actually this week in my devotional, the Inspiration for Girlfriends devotional, and she says, this is Ellen Miller, she says, self-sacrifice is not always a noble thing. Service rendered out of a sense of expectation or obligation rather than an expression of gratitude, talent, or love is rarely pleasing either to the soul or of the recipient of the do-gooder. The service can actually have the opposite effect on our spirit. It is important that we ensure that every good deed, every favor, every act of service be done from the heart, not from the head. This means, of course, that from time to time, in order to live intentionally, you will disappoint someone. So I love that because it just reinforces several things that I've said in the past, not just in this video, but in other videos, of just making ourselves a priority is not a selfish thing. We have to be healthy in order to do the things in life that we feel called to do, and to make an impact and a difference in people's lives. We have to take care of ourselves. We have to set boundaries. We have to have routines. We have to self-care, all of these things, and they are not selfish. God tells us to take care of our bodies, our minds, body, spirit, soul, and we have to do that. So let me encourage you to set some boundaries. You don't have to live like this anymore. You don't need to be walked over. It's really, you're making a conscious decision to let other people do this to you. Take back your power and set your boundaries, and other people can deal with it. They'll be fine. You're not going to hurt them. They're hurting you. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. I just wanted to encourage you, really quick snapshot of boundaries. If you want more, definitely dig into the Boundaries book with Cloud and Townsend. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or to comment below. And if you like the content of my videos, make sure you subscribe and like. And I look forward to seeing you next time.